Hi everyone, it's Kirstine from the Mustard Tree Trust.
Hi there everyone. Here we are, nearly at the end of term. It's been a very strange year, this one, hasn't it? I thought I'd finish this story about the new church with a new beginning, really, because even though we're at the end of term, we're going to start something new. We're going to start the summer holidays, and then after the summer holidays we'll start the new school year. And so often all of our endings are followed by a new beginning. There was a man named Saul, and he was completely changed when he met Jesus. But he didn't meet Jesus in the conventional way, in the normal way. But let's listen to his story, and we'll see that not only he changed, but his name changed too. Saul was well educated. He'd been to rabbi school to learn to be a proper teacher of the Jewish faith. He would have learned all his letters. He'd have probably had to do some maths too. But more importantly, he'd learn about the scriptures. He'd learned how God had rescued the Jews, his people, from the Egyptians, and how they had travelled round the desert and Moses had given them the law. And more than anything else, Saul would have been taught the law. He was also quite rich. He must have been to be able to go to rabbi school. So he was very rich and very clever. And he was very well respected in the temple in Jerusalem. Now, he did not like Jesus, but that was okay, because they'd got rid of Jesus, they'd killed him. But something strange was happening, and his followers, who called themselves Christians, were setting up this new church. Saul didn't like Christians. He might not have minded if they just called themselves followers of Jesus, or Jesusites or something like that. But to call themselves Christians, followers of Christ, that meant that they thought Jesus was the Christ. And Paul knew, because of all his learning in the Old Testament, that Christ, the Messiah, meant chosen one. The one that God had sent as part of himself, the chosen one to rescue all the Jews. Don't be silly. He wasn't the chosen one. And these people who were going around saying he was, well, I mean, look at them. Jesus had bought himself a group of disciples who were very uneducated. I mean, 4 of them were fishermen, for goodness sake. And 1 was a tax collector. Could it get any worse? Well, let's find out. We're going to continue the story from this book. Nasty, sneaky Saul was getting on pretty well with his Capture All the Christians campaign. He went to the temple leaders and asked them for special letters to give him permission to go and sniff out these people in other places and throw them all back in jail in Jerusalem. On his way to a city called Damascus, something absolutely incredible happened. The sky went white. In fact, everywhere he looked, Saul could only see white, this bright, shining light. It was so bright that Saul actually fell down onto the floor. Saul, Saul, said a voice. Why are you being so cruel to me? Who said that? Who said that? It wasn't any of the people who were with Saul. It wasn't any of the soldiers that were with him. Saul, Saul, said the voice again. Why are you being so cruel to me? Well, who are you, Lord? Whispered Saul. I am Jesus, the one that you're being so cruel to. Now, you're going to get up and you're going to go to the nearest city and you're going to wait there for me and I will explain what to do next." Well, everybody who was with Saul stood there absolutely gobsmacked, with their eyes wide open and their mouths wide open like this. Can you do that too? They heard a voice from nowhere, and they watched Saul very carefully as he mumbled some stuff, and then as he got up, they realised he couldn't see anymore. So they took his hands and helped him walk the rest of the way to the city. When they got to the house that they were staying in, they put Saul in a room, but he didn't want to eat or drink or do anything for 3 whole days, and he still couldn't see. Now in Damascus, the city, there was a man named Ananias who followed Jesus, and God spoke to him by talking to him and showing him a picture in his head. "Ananias?" "Yes, God." "Go and find Jude's house in Straight Street and look inside, and there's a man called Saul. He's from Tarshish near Jerusalem. Right now he's praying, and I've just shown you a picture of you so that he's expecting you to turn up, and I've just shown a picture with you with his hands, your hands over his eyes." Well, Ananias didn't know quite what to do. He knew Saul. He'd heard all about the horrible things that Saul had been doing to God's people, to these people who were following Jesus. Well, the thing is, God, I've heard of Saul. I know what he's like. He's coming to punish us and catch us and to put us in prison. And you want me to go to him? Surely I should be hiding and running away from him. "It's okay, Ananias," said God. "Just go. You see, I've got a special plan for Saul. I've chosen him to tell others about me, people who aren't the Jewish faith, people who are important like kings and queens and all sorts of people. I'll show him everything he needs to do. But first of all, you have to go to him." So, what would you do if you were Ananias? He must have been really scared. But he did what God asked him to. When he got to the house, he knocked on the door, and he was shown into a room where Saul was there on his knees praying. Well, it was exactly as God had shown Ananias, and so he didn't feel afraid anymore. He went straight over and put his hands on Saul's eyes, and he said, "Saul, the same Jesus who spoke to you on the road on the way here, he sent me here. I'm going to make you see again, and you're going to be filled from the top of your head to the ends of your toes with the Holy Spirit, with the Spirit of Jesus." And he put his hands over Saul's eyes, and something strange that looked a little bit like fish skin fell out of Saul's eyes. Ugh. Well, Saul stood up. I can see. He'd been praying for 3 days to God. And Jesus had spoken to Saul again and said, "I am real. I am the chosen one." Well, Saul was so happy. He got up and he said, "You've got to baptize me into this new faith. You've got to show everybody that I'm a follower of Jesus now." And so they did. And then Saul came back in the house and had something to eat because he was quite hungry, having not eaten for 3 days. He stayed in Damascus for the next few days. He went into the town meeting place and told everybody he could that actually Jesus was the chosen one. Jesus was God's son. Lots of people were a bit confused. Isn't this the same guy who was trying to get rid of these Christians? But Saul told everybody that he had changed his mind and that Jesus had spoken to him. And not only did Saul change his mind about Jesus, but God commanded that Saul changed his name. And he became known as Paul. And Paul changed the world, because Paul was the person who went around on long, long journeys. He went in the boats and he went all over the countryside as they knew it. And he told so many people about Jesus being the chosen one. And that's really how the church grew. Saul was a very educated man. And Paul used that knowledge that the Old Testament had shown him, the scriptures at the time, to prove that Jesus was in fact the chosen one. So we can read lots about Paul in Acts, the book that this is like. But most of the Bible in the New Testament is taken up by letters written by Paul to the churches that he started off. And so a lot of what we know that Jesus wants us to do is actually written by Paul. So this man, who was completely against Jesus, had his life turned around. And it changed him so much, it even changed his name. I wonder, following Jesus, would that change you too? So here we are at the end of our school year. It's been a strange one, but I hope that you all have a great holiday. I hope that you all get out and enjoy some times with friends and family. I hope the weather's good for us all as well. But we'll see you again at the start of the new year in September, and I hope to see you in person too. Bye for now.